Hi everyone, I'm Nadia, and in today's video I'm making an amethyst inspired resin clock. I mix my part A and part B resin together, and then I take some luxury gold ghost pearl by Depon and add it into my resin. As you can see, just adding a small amount gives the resin a beautiful shimmer. Then I separate the resin into smaller cups to add in my pigments. The first pigment I'm going to be mixing in is this very light gray pigment paste by Depon. And I always make sure to mix pigment paste in the container first before adding a small amount onto my wooden stick and adding it into my cup of resin. In my next cup, I'm adding lavender pearl, also by Depon, followed by their lavender pearl mica powder as well. I'll leave a link to Depon's website in the description. You can use my code SUMMERGIRL to save 10%. Then I'm adding in some small glitter flakes. I'll also have Amazon links in the description where I'll list the products that I've used, so if you're interested, be sure to check that out. In my next cup, I'm adding a dark purple pigment by Resin Pro's Color Fun Deluxe. And I add glitter flakes as well as some broken glass pieces in there as well. Next, I'm using Depon's Nighthawk Pearl mica powder to slightly darken it. I start by pouring my light gray pigmented resin around the edges of the mold. Followed by the lavender pigmented resin. And lastly, I pour my dark purple pigmented resin into the center. I added more of the broken glass pieces into the center. And I also circled around the mold a few more times with my different pigmented resins. And here's what it looked like the next day. All of the pigment pulled in towards the center, which I was expecting, but this wasn't really the look that I was going for, so I'm mixing up my part A and part B resin again to do another layer. And I mixed in the same pigments. I start by pouring my dark purple shade of resin into the center of the mold. Then I use my silicone brush to help shape it more into a geode shape. I use a torch gun to pop any air bubbles, and every time I use my torch gun, I'm careful to move it quickly so that I don't burn my resin or my silicone molds. Then I take more of the broken glass pieces and start by applying it right where the dark pigmented resin comes to a stop. I mixed in a small amount of the lavender mica powder so that it would be rather transparent. And then I pour it near the edges. I decided to add in a little bit of white to hopefully create some depth. I'm using Casting Crafts white pigment, and I circle around several times. And here's what it looked like the next day. Now I'm going to be demolding it to add a third and final layer where I'll add a little bit more detail. And this is what the bottom side looks like. As you can tell, all of the glitter flakes that I previously added all sunk to the bottom, which will happen with glitter flakes and especially glitter. I use my large X-Acto knife to help scrape off some of the lifted edges. Before I add my last layer of resin, I'm going to be putting on some silver varnish, which is also by Resin Pro. I allow that to dry and then flip it over to add some liquid latex. I get a lot of questions regarding liquid latex, and the main reason we use it is to protect the bottom side of our piece from drops of resin while doing our top coat. We do our top coats out of the mold, which allows the resin to drip over the piece and creates a nice domed effect. And my mom shared this liquid latex hack with me, which is actually a hack within the hack, which is to add your liquid latex into a condiment bottle, which allows you to apply it very, very easily. And I use a silicone makeup brush to help push the liquid latex to the edge of the piece. Then I prop my soon-to-be clock up onto 4 cups and mix my resin once more. This time I'm using a more protective layer. So the resin that I'm using is DCS by Depon, which is scratch resistant and heat resistant. While doing my top coat, I do always re-pot the resin, so after I've mixed it in its initial cup or container, I transfer it into a second cup and mix once more just to make sure that every area has been mixed well. Then I start to pour. And again, I'm using a silicone makeup brush to help spread the resin across the whole area. Now I'm adding on these craft jewels, I guess you could call them. These jewels do protrude, so I don't want them to get in the way of the mechanism for the clock, so I'm trying to push them out more towards the edge. And I add some very, very fine glass pieces into the center. And here I am the next day removing the liquid latex. Now I'm going to be adding the same varnish that I previously used onto the edges, and for an easier appliance, I propped it onto cups once more. I allow that to dry and then add in my mechanism. And here's the final product. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked this video, subscribe to see more videos like this in the future. Follow me on my Instagram, Summer Girl Designs, and my mom's Instagram, Wild Heart Resin Art.